Welcome back. We're now moving on to some actual seed sowing. You're probably a bit fed up waiting actually. And the first one we're going to do is sowing into trays. As I was talking before about the containers, get good strong ones if you can, so at least you can reuse them each time. This is a perfect one. If anything, possibly a little bit deep than we need. Okay, so why would you use a seed tray rather than, say, modules? Well, you'll get a lot more plants in here. In fact, people tend to have too many plants in a seed tray, so we're going to try and limit it a certain amount. But it's still going to have a lot more in there than your modules. And yeah, well, let's get on with it. Okay, the first procedure. We're not going to be poking in here. We're not going to be tapping or anything like that. We're just going to follow a very simple procedure. It is as follows. We've got our fine compost here. It's gently piled in, like that. A little bit more. Marvellous. Still not touched. And what we've got to do is somehow get the seeds at the right depth for their size, and we've got to get them covered normally and still be below the level of the edge of the container. And well, so far it doesn't look very promising. We've got a mountain of compost there. And here we go. This is called striking off. Get your ruler, it's in the middle, and it's a sawing action. Is it a worm? A worm. And a sawing action back in the other direction. The sawing action stops the material getting dragged out. In fact, it has happened a little bit there. When there's quite fibrous material in there, it tends to pull away. Okay, so that's still not consolidated. And so how are we going to do that? The temptation enormously is to tap the thing. Don't do it. What we're going to do is gently press it down. And you could have an item like this, which I'm sure you'll appreciate is quite a complicated affair, and this took me many hours to construct. This is the pinnacle of my woodworking career, and it's only just, it's, if anything, slightly too big for this. It's better for a full-size tray. So you could also just use a little block of wood like that, but that's far inferior. Look at that. Press down quite firmly. Oops. Great. Okay, now that is ready to go, and we need to get the seed on there. Well, the seed I'm going to choose, because I need quite a few plants, not a huge number, and they lend themselves very well to this, will be lettuce. And here's an interesting. Here is my lettuce seed, ready to go. So this was saved lettuce, and they're all at the end here ready to be sown. And I perhaps ought to have done this before we started, but I can actually pick off some of the heads and find some seed any minute now. Lots of fluff and no seeds. Excellent. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to the bag where they might have all dropped off. And if we go right down to the bottom, I still end up with a handful of fluff. But in there, move it away from the compost so you don't get everything filled with lettuce seed, there should be some seeds, and there are. Okay, well, you can't see them from there, but amongst all the debris and amongst all the fluff, there are some little spear-shaped seeds, and they're going to go on here. What's good actually about having all of this debris is that I can see a lot more clearly where the material, where the seeds are going. So I'll just take a little pinch, and the first thing I do is go around the edge. The edges are always the bits which are missed, and I can just check and see that there are seeds within that. Yep, we're okay. Then go over the middle. Any other gaps, we can just fill those in. and you're desperate to know how many seeds should you actually have on that tray. Well, it's in the region, well, how many plants do you actually want, but I would probably want a maximum around of about 20. Most people will end up sowing more like 50 or above, and as indicated by some trays I'll show you right now. Okay, so this was one which was sown, and in there are probably just about the right number, one or two little gaps, but that's in there's 20 or 25. That's perfect. This one, too many. They're very dense, there's more of a chance of diseases there, and yeah, it's harder to separate them. Having said that, you probably still get plenty of lettuce there, it's just possibly a waste of seed. So trying to judge how many seeds you've got on there is quite a tricky process. I'm looking closely and I'm pretty sure I've overdone it. It's complicated by having the chaff in there as well, but let's carry on with it. Okay, we've got to cover them, and we can do the same again. And once again, striking off, starting from the centre, working outwards, nice sawing action. Right, you should be able to see all the rim around the edge, and we're almost there. Let's try the other one. Another worm. The other firmer shows you how to use that one. Very neat. And now the compost is below the surface, and all I need to do now is put a label in. I'm just going to get my labels. And here's my label written on with, at the top, I'm holding it this way around so I can't show you that I actually haven't done it, but anyway, let's pretend that I've done it. Okay. Across the top would be lettuce, and then the cultivar, in this case will be oak leaf, green oak leaf lettuce, and then of course the date. Always put the date on, because constantly you're checking to see whether they're coming up and wondering when they were sown, how long are they taking, and all this kind of thing. One final thing is, by convention, the label will always go at the back left, so that when you've got a whole load of them, it's far easier to see which label it refers to which container, and you know where you are with it. Sowing in trays. Thank you very much.